What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Sorry about the stark background. We are moving currently, but I thought I'd get a couple videos out still in this space so that we had some content coming in. But a couple weeks from now, we're moving, so we're packing up. So it might be a little chaotic behind me. Don't worry about it. Focus on your boy. You don't need to focus on what's back there. Listen to the words. All right, that was dumb, but we're going to get started today. I want to talk to you today a little bit about the bench press because, as you know, the biggest question that you're ever going to get asked when you start lifting weights is how much can you bench, bro? And it has to be asked that way. How much can you bench, bro? Because the gym bros are the ones that are going to be asking it. The bench press is far and away the most gym bro exercise, but that does not mean that it doesn't have value. The bench press is one of the best chest builders, it's one of the best general strength exercises, and it is one of the 3 powerlifting movements. Me, as a powerlifter, I compete in the bench press as well as the squat and the deadlift, so I need to have a strong bench press, right? Today, we're going to be talking about addressing some weak points. First of all, how to determine if you have weak points on the bench press, and secondly, how to attack those specific weak points. Because it's one thing to say, oh, you need to get your bench stronger, but it's a whole different thing to say, okay, you're weak off the chest, or you're weak in the mid-range, or you're weak at the lockout. Here's what you need to do. So today, we're going to be quick and dirty. We're just going to try and go through all of those things, and I'm going to give you some actionable tips. You know I love the actionable tips on how to address each one of those weak spots if that's something for you. Personally, I have a love-hate relationship with the bench press. If it's going well, I feel like I'm a god. It's my favorite movement ever. I feel like I could pick up anything on earth. And when it's going poorly, chop my arms off, man. My noodle arms can't do anything. Get them out of here. I don't want to ever lift up a heavy thing ever again. So if that sounds like you, if you have a love-hate relationship with the bench, hopefully this video will help you address some of those problems so that you can get back to hitting PRs on the bench press day after day, week after week, year after year. We want to get everybody that watches this channel to a respectable bench press, whatever their body weight, whatever their goals are. This video is for you guys. So without me talking about it anymore, let's start at the bottom of the range of motion, coming off of the chest. So your bench is not going anywhere if you can't get the weight off of your chest. First and foremost, let's start with that. And I'm going to be talking about these movements in a powerlifting context because that's what I know. That's where I come from. I'm a powerlifter myself, so I usually talk in those terms. But if you're more of a bodybuilder or a general strength person, these tips can also be applicable for you. But when I'm talking about it, I'm talking about a bench press with a high arch, something and a lot of leg drive, something that's going to help you on your competition day for a power lift, right? If you're a bodybuilder, you may have less of an arch because you're working more hypertrophy on the chest. That's fine. These tips should be applicable to you, but just know that's where I'm coming from. So coming off the chest is incredibly important, and barring a technique issue, so only focusing on strength, if you have difficulty coming off the chest, usually it means that you have weakness in your pectoral muscles. First and foremost, the bench press works the big 3 of the upper body, the triceps, the chest, and the shoulders. Those are the 3 muscle groups that are being utilized when we're trying to do a bench press. And coming off the chest utilizes primarily the pecs. So how do we attack weakness coming off of the chest? Something super simple that I don't think a lot of people take advantage of is just utilizing pause reps. A lot of the times when I'm working in the gym and I'm walking on the floor and I'm seeing people bench press, there's not a lot of emphasis on pause movements. It's either touch and go, boom, 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 or worse, it's bouncing. So they come down, they'll bounce it off of their chest and explode into the hole, right? There's nothing particularly wrong with those two things, but if you're finding a lot of weakness off the chest, pausing your reps is something so simple that you can do that's going to pay dividends almost immediately. So you can either approach this in one of 2 ways. You can pause just the first rep, because if you're a power lifter, you only get 1, right? So we're talking 1 rep max. So you come down, pause on your first rep, press, and then you can move into more of a touch and go style for the rest of how many reps you need for that particular set. Or if you're really struggling, and this is something that I have implemented because I'm really struggling a little bit coming off of the chest, is pausing every single rep. So if I'm doing a set of 6, you bet every single one of those 6 reps is going to be paused on my chest. So why does pausing help us? Well, there's something called the stretch reflex, right? And in the case of the bench press, when we are stretching the pec down in the eccentric portion, right? So the elongation of the pec is happening as we lower the weight down. Our muscle wants to return to the non-stretch position. So we get a little bit of that reflex to help us press that. So by pausing on the chest, we take that stretch reflex away, pausing for 1 to 2 seconds, and then we have to really fire every fiber in our chest to press that weight off of us. Just a little bit of a manipulation to get a little bit more activation off of the chest. And if you're a power lifter, you got to be pausing your reps anyway, or they don't count. So you might as well get used to it as you go forward. This is something I've been implementing to get used to pausing my reps, to understand when I come down on the chest, I have to wait for that press command and then I can press, right? So it's something so simple, just adding a 1 to 2 second pause. You don't even have to program a different movement. It's just your similar bench press. So give that a try and see how it works for you. So another thing that I think a lot of people forget is sometimes you just have to work on the building of the muscle. General hypertrophy can lead to bigger strength gains. You need bigger muscles to get stronger. I know you guys are like, wait, wow, mind blowing. I never thought of that. Right, exactly. It's very simple, but a lot of times these simple things get lost in the wash when we start to look at general technique and speed off the chest, right? You can get lost in the fact that sometimes you just have to get stronger. You have to get a bigger chest for a bigger bench press. So, general hypertrophy movements in the 8 to 10 to 15 rep range, whatever you want to do, add in some more volume on your chest days outside of just bench pressing. Some machine work, some incline work, some dumbbell pressing, getting your chest bigger, and then utilizing those bigger muscles to get stronger in a strength phase is going to pay massive dividends. I know that it's pretty simple, but it's something that I see a lot of people neglecting, and they focus too much on trying to change their technique or trying to get a bigger arch or whatever it is, when sometimes you just have to get stronger. So go and get stronger, right? Add more volume, add more hypertrophy work, get a bigger chest, and see how much that pays on your bench press. Okay, so now that we've addressed coming off of the chest, let's move into the mid-range, which is going to be 2 inches off to just before the lockout. So if you are weak in the mid-range, which is I think where a lot of people fall, at least anecdotally with my clients and people that I train, having trouble 2 inches off the chest, approximately to just before the lockout, usually is a place where a lot of people will fail. And if you are experiencing failure in this portion of the range of motion, it has a lot to do with general weakness in the shoulders, the front delts, and the upper pecs, okay? These are huge movements. They help us finish the move before the triceps take over to get into the lockout. So they have to be strong. They have to be capable of moving the same amount of weight that your pecs can move off of your chest. So how do we address that? First and foremost, a massive movement that's going to help develop the upper pecs and the shoulders is the incline bench. I love the incline bench. It can be at a slight incline. You can do it with dumbbells or a barbell if your gym has a barbell setup. I personally like the barbell because it's a little bit more analogous to the regular bench press. I get to continue to work on having that weight in my hands and stacking it on my wrists and elbows. But if the dumbbells is all you have, go for the dumbbells. Because of that slight incline in the bench, and it doesn't have to be anything too crazy, just a slight incline can really activate the front delt and the upper pec, which is going to have carryover when you get back down to the flat bench. Work in reps of 6 to 8, right? Try and build your general strength on this movement and see the carryover that it has on to the bench press. So throw these in, dumbbell or barbell, whatever you have access to. Give them a shot right after your main bench work and see if it's going to help you. Another awesome shoulder movement that I really like to program in most of my clients' programs and in my own program is any type of military pressing or overhead pressing, depending on who you're talking to. This can be done seated, standing, dumbbell, barbell, whatever. There are tons of modalities for your level of fitness, for your level of strength. Seated is going to be the most difficult, all the way up to standing with dumbbells is going to be the easiest. Find what works best for you and mix them up. Don't stay on one thing. We've got to confuse the muscle, right? We've got to build up strength and then tear that strength down by giving us a different modality. So you may want to start with standing dumbbell overhead press. Right here, pressing up overhead, really engaging the front delts and all of the shoulder musculature. Applying that movement is going to help a ton in the mid-range of the bench press. Add them in as an accessory work, add them in as general hypertrophy, 8, 12, 15 reps. Push yourself. Try and see if you can get stronger on the military press and see how that will carry over onto the bench press. Everything works in tandem. If we strengthen our shoulders, we strengthen our bench press, right? So that's the mid-range. Those are two that you can go after. Also, general hypertrophy work in the shoulders is going to work for you as well. Getting stronger in the shoulders, the same way we're getting strong in the pecs, is really going to pay dividends. Finally, we've got to address the lockout of the bench press, right? We've come off the chest, we've made it 2 to 8 inches, and now we've got to fully lock that out. That is going to be the tricep. That's where the big time triceps take over. And that is coincidentally what I have been working on because I'm having a lot of difficulty with my lockout. So let's talk about some accessory movements that can help build the triceps and finish that lockout on the bench press. Okay, so I'm going to talk personally about my current programming, and hopefully these two movements will be something that you can implement that's going to help you. First and foremost is the block press. Now, traditionally, when doing a block press, you have to have a training partner who'll come in and put the block down on your chest so that you can bring the weight down to the block and then press, right? A block press just removes the bottom half of the range of motion, so you can really focus on strengthening just the top half and get that tricep work in without having to come all the way down to the chest, okay? It's something that you can overload a little bit more because it's a shorter range of motion. I like to add about 5 to 10 pounds onto my block press after my initial bench press work of the day. So say I'll do 4 sets of 6 on my regular competition bench. Right after, I'll move to the block press, add 10 to 15 pounds, and go for another 3 sets of 6, just to get a little bit of extra work on my triceps, right? So I'm here to say you no longer need a training partner to do the block press, which is great. You can buy something, and this is not an ad, obviously I'm not sponsored by anybody, but it's called a bench block, and it attaches directly to the bench. You can see in this footage that I'm playing right now that I have one attached onto me, and it works 1 inch, 2 inch, 3, 4, 5, whatever type of block height you want. So you can really work on just the lockout, or you can work on mid-range and lockout. It's a great tool. I've really been enjoying it, and the block press seems to be helping me already. I'm noticing a difference in my bench press. So I will leave a link to that down in the description. Again, not a sponsor, just a tool that I really, really love that could be something that you can utilize. The block press is a great movement, and it's really going to help with that lockout, so give it a shot. Second, another big staple of my pretty much every single one of my pressing days is going to be the close grip bench press. Now, I bench normally with a very, very wide grip, about my first finger on the space, the smooth of the bar, right after the knurling. So my close grip, I bring it all the way into 2 thumbs away from the smooth part of the bench. But you have to find the grip that works for you. If you're a naturally closer bench presser to begin with, you may have to find a closer grip that's going to help you activate the triceps. This movement also, you really need to focus on a mind-muscle connection with your triceps because your pecs can take over. So when I'm close grip bench pressing, I'm really tucking my elbows, really focusing on allowing the pause on my chest close up to the mid-range of my chest, and then pressing and really focusing on utilizing my triceps to finish the movement. This movement takes practice. Like all of these movements take practice. Don't get discouraged if you're not feeling a tricep pump after your first couple of days of utilizing the close grip. Continue to work on it. Continue to build that mind-muscle connection. The close grip bench press can be a great tool for general strength, high weight, low rep, or hypertrophy, lower weight, higher reps. Either way you want to program it, it's a great tool to build the triceps, and it is directly analogous to the bench press because you're in the same position. You don't have to move to a different bench. You are still bench pressing. You're just bench pressing with a different grip, and it's helping you attack a specific part of the movement. All right, everyone. 3 main aspects of the bench press that I most see people struggle on: off of the chest, mid-range, and lockout, basically the full range of motion, and some tools to address each of those parts of the range of motion. If you're struggling with one of, or maybe 2 or 3 of those specific parts, add some of these in. Let me know how they work for you in the comments. I'm always hanging out down in the comments. I'd love to hear if you're going to add any of these to your programming. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, if you got something out of it, give a like. Make sure to share it around. You can follow me on Instagram, on Twitch. All that stuff will be linked down in the description. And if you want to talk to me about some formal coaching or me building out a program for you, you can send me an email. I'd love to get in contact with you about that. If that's something you're interested in, let's take that next step in your fitness journey, right? Let me be a part of it. That is going to do it for me today, guys. I appreciate you watching. Get strong and stay strong. That's the key. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.